What do you like on your burger? Cheese? Bacon? Mustard? Ketchup? Pickles? How about smoked Gouda, barbecue sauce, and haystack onions? Or Brie and Granny Smith apples? At Tom and Eddie's, a line of gourmet burger restaurants in the Chicago area, you can get all that and more. Tom and Eddie are Tom Dentise and Ed Renzi, and they know all about hamburgers. The two men spent years working for McDonald's. When they retired in the late 1990s, Ed was the president and CEO of McDonald's USA, and Tom was the executive vice president in charge of creating new locations. Although for these guys, retired is the wrong word.
I'm never going to retire. I quit working at McDonald's, and my hobbies seem to run every 7 years, and I wanted to get back into the restaurant business, and I thought, this is a great way to do it.
In 2009, Tom and Eddie teamed up to launch an upscale hamburger restaurant. The concept would be completely different from McDonald's, with a focus on unique menu items, a comfortable setting, and great customer service.
Well, baby boomers and their children have grown up on hamburgers, so we wanted to have an adult hamburger with smoked Gouda cheese, bacon on it, fried egg when necessary or desired. So we put a upgraded decor, more comfortable seating. We want people to sit down and enjoy their hamburgers, have a glass of wine, a beer on a Saturday afternoon, and really enjoy the whole idea of my favorite burger with my favorite beverage.
To succeed, Tom and Eddie knew they would need a strong financial manager. They brought in Brian Gordon, who they knew from McDonald's, to serve as their chief financial officer.
When you start up a small business, record keeping is very, very important, and there's nobody better than Brian Gordon. And he's a functional manager. He crosses not only the CFO side of the business, but also into operations because he's been around it so long. So just a great hire.
In a small business, financial management is obviously very important. It's really the linchpin that holds everything together. But unless you really understand the different aspects of the business, and that goes from construction to purchasing to your labor issues, to what your customers think about you, you really don't understand the business. You can't make a big of an impact as you might think you could, just by crunching the numbers.
For a business to survive, it must manage its finances well. Businesses need operating funds for tasks such as capital expenditures, managing day-by-day operations, and acquiring needed inventory. As a new business, Tom and Eddie's needed financing for its initial capital expenditures, such as property and equipment. Because 2009 was the height of the recent recession, borrowing money from banks proved impossible.
It's interesting trying to get money from banks these days. They can borrow money very inexpensively from the Fed, but because of the last recession, they've been a little gun-shy on lending money to small businesses that don't have the track record that bigger businesses have. The money's there, but they exact a lot of guarantees, and it makes it difficult for small businesses to expand.
As a result, Tom and Eddie were forced to finance the business with their own money. A third partner, Vince Naccarato, put in money as well. Capital expenditures are major investments in long-term assets, such as buildings and equipment. For Tom and Eddie's, these expenses fell into such categories as building, equipment, furnishings, and design and contracting fees. The partners had to be smart about how they spent their money.
We've made a conscious decision early on that we were going to go into locations, that were owned by somebody else that already had good traffic generators in the area. If we don't have to buy the land, if we don't have to build the building, we save a lot of upfront costs.
Well, when we're going to build a restaurant, there's a lot of things that come into play. We want to look at traffic counts. We want to look at the number of people that are employed, how many square feet of commercial space there is, what is the population of the area within a mile and 3-mile drive times and 3-minute walk. We want to see that income at a higher level. So when we're looking for demographics, we're looking for age groups, we're looking for overall population, traffic counts, and ease of access and visibility.
Once Tom and Eddie secure a site, they need to customize the space for their needs. Creating a restaurant includes building and equipping a kitchen and designing and decorating the dining room, also known as the front of the house.
Restaurants have a lot of choices on how they want to build their buildings and how they want to get their equipment and their signs and everything else. One of the reasons that we buy our equipment is that leasing companies, get a very high premium for lending you the money for the equipment, somewhere in the neighborhood of 14, 15%. You compare that to a bank loan of maybe 5 or 6%, there's a big spread there. The other reason is While we buy a lot of our equipment off the shelf, we do a lot of fabrication, that's very unique to Tom and Eddie's. And that equipment really doesn't have a lot of value after, we put it into place.
We spent a lot of money researching chairs and tables to make sure that the padding was right, to make sure that the back was comfortable when you sat erect. We wanted to size the tables to match our plates so we didn't have more space than we needed, but the right amount of space for comfort so we could get more seats into the same square footage.
For any business, managing day-by-day operations is an important financial consideration. For a small business like Tom and Eddie's, it may be the most important part.
As a small business, cash flow is actually more important than profits. When you're a big public company, you have all sorts of reporting you have to do, and that's what your investors look at. You have to pay the government, you have to pay your bills, and as a small company, a lot of times your startup costs are higher than your first year profitability or second year profitability. It's part of our cash flow management. We have a very specific schedule to go through month and weekly and even daily to figure out what bills we have to pay. For example, crew payrolls every other week. We need to be sure we have the funds not only to pay the crew, but to pay all the taxes that go along with that. Our main food suppliers, they need to get paid weekly. Utilities are once a month as a rule. We accumulate sales taxes daily, but we have to pay that out on a monthly basis. We have to pay rent on the first of the month, so that's something we have to pay in advance. So we have to schedule every one of our known payments, against that unknown of how much sales are we going to do, and then try and balance that out.
Controlling inventory is an important part of managing a company's available funds. Since much of their inventory is perishable, Tom and Eddie's inventory systems are critical. If they buy too much inventory, such as hamburger, it could go bad before they can sell it, forcing them to throw it away. If they have too little inventory, they could run out of burgers, which would disappoint their customers and cost them sales. Stocking the correct amount of inventory is crucial for a successful restaurant. Tom and Eddie's uses a state-of-the-art technology system to help manage their inventory.
We do a lot of automatic ordering based on the products that we use. We have a system that tracks everything, gives us a safety amount, and we order online. We pay online, so a lot of that's done through technological things. But most importantly, when that food comes in, it's got a limited life to it. It's very important to know and cycle out all of your inventory.
Like most restaurants, Tom and Eddie's buys their supplies using trade credit. They order products from their suppliers and are later invoiced for their products.
We have terms with our food supplier. We basically pay on a net 14 basis, which means food comes in on a Friday, we basically owe them 2 weeks from that Friday for that food. The nice thing about it is, in our business, we turn over inventory enough that we can literally sell that food once or twice before we have to pay for it. It's another form of financing.
Tom and Eddie's now has 4 locations in the Chicago area, and they are continuing to expand. As they do so, the company needs capital to develop new locations. Now that the business has become established, new sources of credit have opened up.
Now that we've got 15 months of business under our belt, people know who we are, they know we can operate a business, they know we can make money at it. We think the lines of capital will open up, both traditional and maybe some non-traditional. Non-traditional being things like franchising, and we can grow exponentially from there.
Entrepreneurs only think about possibilities, never about failure. And as we start to look to the future, first of all, we got to make a profit, because if you don't make profit, you can't do anything. So right now we're fine-tuning the P&L. If we get the P&L where we need it to be, and commodity prices have killed us years ago, they're up about 13-14%. So if we can get the P&L under control, which we're pretty confident that we can, we're going to build 3 more restaurants. That'll get us up somewhere 7, 8. We hope to get 10 ultimately, and then we'll probably start franchising.
Sound financial management is essential to all businesses, but it's crucial to a small business where there is no room for error. Controlling expenses is the way to make sure the business survives until it becomes profitable.